Welcome to this episode of Athletes as Educators. As always, thank you for listening. I'm your host, Angie Lewis. I played professional ball, coached at the high school level, college level, and professionally won championships at all levels, and has worked with Nike elite camps and Nike pre-draft camps. So sports has always been a big part of my life. So on this show, we speak to current and former elite athletes, or leaders, entrepreneurs who are doing great things in this world in hopes that they can teach you some of the things that they learn from sport. On our show today, we have Osato Edobar Osula, who is one of my best friends. Oh, welcome.
Hey, girl. Hey, Angie.
So, and I met, over 10 years ago, over a decade ago, which is crazy, when we were playing ball in Germany. Oh, will you talk a little bit about what you're doing now and let the people get to know who you are?
Sure. Currently, I'm working as a teacher in New York. I also coached basketball on a Division III level. Like you said earlier, we played basketball together over in Germany, and that's pretty much it.
You're forgetting something. There's something you do with YouTube.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that. Of subscribers.
um,
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I do have a YouTube channel. You can find me it's called Living with Osa, and I have basically a hair vlog, and I also do kind of like a life vlog just with dating and what it's like being 30 and dating in America.
You have to check it out. It is absolutely awesome and hilarious, which you will find out. Will you tell us about your sports journey? So when you started playing and your progression through sport?
I was a late bloomer when it came to playing basketball. I started playing at around 16. I was a junior in high school. I absolutely sucked. My nickname was Twinkle Toes because I traveled all the time. I just didn't have a clear, view on how to play the game and how it was supposed to be played, but I was tall. So I did have that growth spurt my sophomore year, and things just weren't working the right way anymore. So I started playing basketball my junior year, and I didn't like how it felt to not be a great athlete. So I just kept working, and I really thrived in my senior year. I was able to get a scholarship.
Where did you play college ball?
I went to George Mason University, and that's in Fairfax, Virginia. And I had an awesome experience there.
You know what's amazing is that there are a lot of tall girls out there. I'm 6'1", you're 6'4",
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of us feel uncomfortable in our own skin. I mean, literally everyone's shorter than you.
Yeah, that's
So talk a little bit about how it was for you growing up, being a teenager and being significantly taller than everyone.
so yeah. It's quite funny that you mentioned that because when I give a description of someone, I always start out by saying she's short or he's
Right?
short. And I'm like, wait, I think it's relative because I
Everybody's
think everybody's short, right? So when I was growing up, again, I didn't have my growth spurt until end of sophomore year. So I was tall, but I wasn't as tall as I am now. And I think while I was going to high school and I was having that growth spurt, I was just like so uncomfortable in my own skin, being bullied, being made, fun of because you're tall, you're different and everything like that. And, I did the same thing that most people try to do is hunch over and, try to fit in with everybody else. But once I started playing basketball and gaining an identity through basketball, it was like, yo, I'm here. Like, what's good? So the rest was history. After that, it was just like, you know, unless you play the game, it's quite hard to understand. Like, it gives you an identity, and you become strong in that identity, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on.
on. Continue on.
It gives you that identity, and you feel like um, this is who I am. So when it's taken away from you, when you stop playing after college, you also feel quite lost
Mm-hmm.
in that same regard. So, high school was challenging, but once I got on the map and I was getting a scholarship and I felt great about myself, the rest was pretty much history.
Speaking of history, let's talk about history for a minute. You talked about playing after college,
Mhm.
what that experience is like. Now, we met in Germany,
Yes, we
and
did.
you have one of the most fascinating stories. And we talk about this literally every time we get together, but
Yes, we do.
the first time it was made public. So I think that there are a lot of players that say they want to play overseas, right? They
Mhm.
want to go because, there are limited spots in the WNBA and there are
Right.
the college players. So will you talk about your journey to getting overseas and what that experience was like in a very detailed story?
Oh, guys, grab some popcorn, get a little juice, because that was a story and a half. Okay. Um. So I had another semester to go in college. So once I had already completed my 4 years. But as I was going through college, if you don't pass all of your classes, you still have to take some classes to finish up. So I still had 3 classes to take. And but I knew that I wanted to play basketball overseas. I knew that Mason wasn't my last stop. So I went ahead and just did a bunch of research trying to figure out who do I need to get in contact with to make this happen. Um, if anybody knows anything about my personality, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like there's no stopping me. So I'm on the internet. I come across a woman's name who I won't mention because she did screw me over. I'm going to call her M. I came across M. And M basically, I emailed her. I said, hey, I'm interested in playing ball overseas. Like, what do I need to do? She contacts me back. She said, you got to give me $750. You got to pay your own way there. And, we'll have a place where you can stay. I didn't know M from a hole in the wall, but I felt like this is what I wanted to do. So I got to do this. So I went ahead and took a loan out from school and I gave M 750. I paid for my flight, so the loan wound up being 2,500.
Mm.
Um,
I didn't.
and yeah, I didn't quite share that because that was financial. That was like a bad decision. I basically went through college no loans or anything like that, and here I am taking out a loan for something that I thought I wanted, that I loved and wanted to do, and I was so passionate about it. Mind you, my parents had already told me that I should not do this. Like, bad idea, don't do it. I'm like, what do they know? I'm going to do it anyway. All right? I'm stubborn. So once she gets the money, she starts helping me out. She's like, hey, we're leaving on this day. If you miss your flight, no refunds, blah, blah, blah. We get to Holland, and there's a tournament in Holland. Um, there's other Americans that's there that are playing on the same teams that I'm playing on, and we're basically being scouted by a bunch of different coaches. I play very well. A team in what's the name of that city? Binsburg.
Germany.
Okay, Binsburg, Germany. Um, they see me and they're like, "We want to bring you over for a tryout." Now I know I have a when you take a flight, okay, you have a return ticket. Okay, so my return ticket, I was like, this is not a good idea. I should probably return because I still have 3 classes that I wanted to complete. My goal was just to go over there, play, be seen, and have a team fly me back. That was my thought process. M influenced me to stay and was like, nah, this is your opportunity, play, and this team is going to fly you back. That was what she told me. When you're young, you don't realize you need to get things in writing. You need to also, or either getting it in writing or have money in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't do any of those. I just went because I don't lie to people. I don't screw people over. Can I say screw?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay. I already said screw. So because I don't screw people over,
And
because
screw is not the worst word that our listeners have heard. So
okay, wonderful, wonderful. My church people, I love you. I'm there with you, people. Uh, anyway, so because I don't do those things to people, I just assume the best that they were going to honor their word, just like how I honor my word. So I do it. Now, I didn't realize that this trial was going to be for 2 weeks, and it wasn't just 2 weeks of like shooting a basketball around. It was 2 weeks of running through the woods, in like winter, and like doing craziness, like straight up craziness. So I wind up injuring myself prior to whatever game we're supposed to like play in or whatever it was. And I could not perform. Like I was literally just so tired that I could not perform to my best ability. So these people, and I'm gonna say people because I have a few choice words of what I would like to say, but I'm gonna keep it clean. So these people decided that I'm not what they're looking for. I'm too skinny. Now, anyone with an IQ over 78, which is mentally retarded, would have seen from the get go that I'm skinny. All right, so for that to be their excuse as to why I didn't make a team really set me over the edge. Not only did that send me over the edge, they want to tell me, here's 50 euros to get back to wherever you came from. Y'all, I'm calm and cool and collected, but I do have two sides to me. So I'm very nice, I'm very loving, but then the Dr. Jekyll and the Mr. Hyde that's in me, girl, luckily I had Angie there to calm me down because I would probably be in jail in Germany. That's that's where it was like really about to go down. And it goes down in the DM, and it was going to be going down in Germany.
so,
So,
so
go
let me,
ahead.
for our listeners, let me pull this together for them.
Yeah.
You agree to go overseas to a showcase.
Yes.
You this showcase, there's a team in Germany that sees you. They say, yes, we want to bring you over to try for our team. And then we will let you know. You told them about the flight. They was like, cool, we got you on the flight. We're going to get you back. And then they tell you you're too skinny. You don't make the team.
Correct.
You don't go back.
Correct. So, little did I know I was going to meet my best friend out there, who basically saved the day. Because I really didn't know what I was going to do from there. There was no way I was calling my parents. When you have Nigerian parents, if we have any Nigerian listeners, you'd be like, yeah, she couldn't call her parents. They was like, Osato, we told you. We told you. You should have stayed. And it would have been a hot mess. I was like, oh, God, please, somebody. I would have, yeah, I wasn't calling my parents. That was out of the question. So thank God I had Angie there who said, I mean, I was hysterical. Like, I was ready to totally trash the house, totally like beat up every German person that I had come in contact with. Like, that was how irate I was. And she just said, listen, you're going to get through this. My agent lives in Germany. She's going to help you. Like, without even, like, hesitating, you didn't know me from a hole in the wall, but you felt like what they did was wrong.
Yeah.
And instead of like having me overreact and not knowing the laws of the town, like I just didn't know anything, but I was ready to just flip. So you called your agent, and she came through and was like, "Listen, I have a trial. Wipe your tears. I have a trial for you. I think this afternoon or whatever. Like,
It was pretty quick. The turnaround was really quick.
The turnaround was hella quick. So I really, at that point, I was like, what do I do? Like, I knew I was still hurt. I knew, like, I was still tired. Like, that was really it. I was really just exhausted. But I told myself, I said, you know what? I never quit at anything that I've ever done in my life. I'm going to get through this. So, I think you had just finished helping me take out my micro braids. And
get to that.
I got to.
That's coming. You know
it. I knew that was coming. So, I had micro braids in my hair. And anybody that knows what micro braids, they're really small braids. I had relaxed hair at the time. And my girl Angie helped me take it out. It took like 3 or 4 hours, like a long time. And because I was going through all of this turmoil, I was just going through a lot. And then dealing with a breakup with a boyfriend, and, just I was trying to figure out who I am. And this process was helping me through. Anyway, I go try out for the team. I wind up making that team, and I was so grateful. And just, even though I was still hurting, by the process and with my ex and everything like that, I was still grateful to have had my dreams come true of what I really wanted to have happen. But in that excitement and everything like that, and just trying to find myself, I wind up shaving my head like a boy. Just doing a Caesar haircut, and meeting up with Angie. I didn't tell her, and I get off the train, and she's like, "Yeah," she looks at me like, "What happened?" Like, first of all, we spent 4 hours taking it out because we could have easily just took the cutters to the head.
Yep. Could have done.
But it was just a therapeutic process for me. As my hair was growing back, I was also gaining strength. I was also gaining insight as to who I am and accepting myself, which was a struggle, so.
And I think, for a lot of athletes, it is a struggle because you're defined by your sport since the time you're a kid. I know you started at 16. So many athletes, especially these days, are starting at 8.
Yeah, yeah.
So hooping from the time you're 10 until you get out of college at 21. You spent over a decade wearing gear and being a part of a team, and everyone seeing you as an athlete. And I'm 6'1", you're 6'4", and there's no way to stand out. And for the rest of our lives, you're going to be asked, did you play ball?
Did you play? Yeah,
And you can't get away from that.
absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that story. Would you classify that as your worst sports moment?
Um, I would definitely classify not making the first team.
Mm,
The level of rejection that I felt with that. Especially when in college, you come from a team aspect of you give your all, and giving your all always pays off.
right.
And even though I gave my all and tried my best, even with injury and fatigue, it wasn't enough. And I had never really experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you give your all, it's noticed, people respect you for that, and you're rewarded for that.
Right.
And that wasn't the case. So I didn't really know what to make of it.
Let's talk about something that isn't talked about often. Money and ball overseas, right?
Oh,
So I
yeah.
respect for you because you made a decision to go and to play, not knowing what would happen, and you stayed. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're Nigerian, and you said I'm not going to call my parents, but you could have.
Yeah.
You didn't want to hear that conversation, but you could have. And
Right.
it came over at one point, but you could have said to your sister, instead of your sister coming over, you could have said, "Can you just send me some money so that I can get back home and get back to the life that I had planned?" You
Yeah.
chose to stay. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do a series on playing ball overseas. So I want to talk about all that you're doing now because you're doing some pretty awesome stuff. But it's important that we talk a little bit about like what that experience was like, because I know a lot of our listeners are going to say that, they're going to be college athletes or high school kids. They're going to say like, I want to play ball overseas, and they think of it as glitz and glamour, but it's not.
Right.
Where?
Um, yeah, I think you watch Love and Basketball and it's
Yep.
glorified and it looks like, yo, this is this amazing thing. And what people, first of all, you take advice from people who have never played, who have
Yep.
never even been overseas. And it's all a lie. It's all what they think it's gonna be like. The team I played for, I rode a bike to practice, 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back.
Easy.
Like
Crazy.
people don't get that, like in the rain, in the snow, like even after shoulder surgery, like
Yep.
people don't get that. It's not glitz and glamour. You're not making buku money. Like the highest paid person was being in Germany was being paid, and then she played in WNBA, was being paid $1,500 a month, free flat, free food, but she was only being paid $1,500 a month.
Yep.
So if people could at least put that into perspective and stop believing the hype that everybody else is feeding them, like listen, the Tarasis and the ones that are playing over in Russia, yes, you're getting paid like high numbers, but at other places, I think people are just like really not aware. I had no idea what was a good salary, you know. Um, so I think that there's this idea, it's this Hollywood glam that's behind it, and it really it's for the men.
Mm-hmm.
Women play it because we love it. We really do play this game because we truly love what we're doing, and you understand that you're not going to fall in that percentile that's making the high numbers for basketball.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I think that that's phenomenal perspective. And so what we have to do is really evaluate what's most important for us at that time in our life when we graduate. I
Yeah.
want to talk a little bit about your transition from playing ball and how you redefined yourself. You mentioned earlier about your YouTube channel, which is amazing. Living with O.
Thanks.
I have to check it out, especially if you are a young Black woman with natural hair. Gives you some phenomenal advice and expertise. Like she does her research. I finally started listening to her. My hair is a lot. Um, I know, friend. I know. I should have been.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm judging. That's what I do best.
She's done some phenomenal videos about makeup. Someone's about dating, just personal growth. I mean, beyond what she's done as an athlete, she's a great person. So, talk about your transition. Like, how did you even start doing these YouTube videos? Why hair? Why makeup? You know, why the life? Kind of the life support. Life support is not what I meant. Like life coaching development, which you don't call it, but like as soon as you watch it, she's just so on point.
uh, so when like we talked about before, so much of my identity was wrapped in basketball. I hadn't played, like when I got back to the States and I decided, all right, I'm done, I'm going to retire and everything like that. When people would ask me on the street, do you play ball? I'm still saying yes. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not. So why am I still saying that?
Yep.
But what it really came down to was I hadn't defined myself as to who I was outside of basketball, so I was scared of that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so once I started saying no, I don't play, and it it started to kind of channel evoke something within me, like what else am I going to do?
Yep.
And that's when I decided to go into coaching, which a lot of athletes do because you still really can't quite let go of that whole realm of your life. I love young people. I love coaching young people. But also it was a need that I was feeling within myself
Mm-hmm.
around this basketball thing. The YouTube piece came about once I decided to retire from coaching basketball. So I did that. I did coaching for about 9 years. Um, and I was like, you know what?
Wow.
What'd you say?
Didn't realize you coached that long.
Yeah, so it wound up being 9 years, and I just retired last year, February, and it was very hard. It was very hard for me. I felt like I was going through another kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say midlife because I'm not even midlife yet, but I was going through kind of a crisis again, feeling like, what am I doing with my life? Where am I? Even though I was fulfilled with teaching, the fact that basketball was going to be totally removed from my life, it was very hard for me to let go. So I thought about YouTube, and I thought about, wow, I do hair on the side. I was really tired of watching YouTube channels that were saying they were catering to our hair type, which my hair type is 4C, which is the kinkier texture of the hair type. So I would be doing my hair, and I realized like my hair doesn't look like hers, like when I'm done, and it wasn't even out of like jealousy or anything. It's just out of frustration, like why can I figure out what I'm supposed to be doing with my hair? And I said, you know what? After like growing my hair out, and this was well before like the whole not YouTube, natural hair like trend like took off when I cut my hair in 2004. People thought I was having like a life crisis, like something was wrong, what was going on? So I was like, I'm gonna put everything that I learned from doing my own hair just by experimenting. I'm gonna just start making videos about that and showing people like how to do it. So I started my channel, I think, in July of last year, and it just started growing. People were like, "Oh my God, finally somebody has my hair who's doing videos." And my hair, like my hair is thriving. My hair is gradually getting longer and things like that. So one day I decided that I was gonna just kind of make a personal blog, and people went nuts over it. It was like, you are so honest. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, this is just who I am. But they're like, you're so transparent and you're this. And I was like, wow, people really connect to what I'm sharing about. And it was about dating and being in your 30s and dating and owning your age and owning your experiences that you have while you're dating. Like, I can't be the only one feeling like that. So
You're not.
so and just feeling underappreciated as and again, I don't want to incite anything with race, but as a Black woman, as a 30-something Black woman, dating is challenging. It's very challenging. I don't think there's a voice for that. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to just talk about it. I'm going to be real about it. And I mean,
Oh, you're real.
there's a lot of stuff.
Your Easter video, oh, was so fun. the date after church on Easter Sunday. Like you guys have to go to YouTube and check out what was that one called?
That one was called "This Fool Got Me Messed Up."
Oh, got me mixed up. Right, right, right. Oh, that's a good one. Check that.
That was that was the one where I was just like, no, you check it out. I'm not even gonna spoil it for you because I was just too through. And I had just gotten back into like dating, and I was like, is this how people do? Like, is this what we do? So,
You
but
know
yeah,
what? Oh, I think that your messages to 30 somethings is even more appropriate for 20 somethings.
yeah.
What you talk about in your YouTube videos is about standards and creating standards as a woman, and holding yourself accountable to those, which most of us in our 20s didn't do.
Oh, and I was there.
Right. We were there together. There's been some younger women who've listened in, and some ball players specifically who's listened in, who are in their early 20s and really connected with you. And
Oh,
I think that it's important that you know how broad your reach can be, because it's phenomenal advice. You're like that big sister that
oh,
gets to talk to everyone, about those.
yeah. And
Those.
it's therapeutic. It's therapeutic for me. Like, after every breakup, it's a blow to your ego after every single breakup, especially, when there's these statistics that's out there about black women, 42% not getting married, and, like just feeling like you're undesirable to men in general, like just because you're black.
Mm.
And it's those stereotypes that it's like you want to just continue to tear down. Like no matter what the statistics are, I feel a certain way about myself. You know, so
Can you
yeah,
give can you give one or two pieces of advice in regards to dating? Athletes as educators, like you have to drop some wisdom. Drop some wisdom about that. Then I'm going to ask you to drop some wisdom about hair.
okay, sure. I think the biggest or the greatest advice that I can give to athletes, because we're already strong by nature. Like we
Mhm.
already have a very disciplined mind. We already have a just kind of a strong presence already, which can be very intimidating to men. But I say stand in your own truth, believe in yourself, like know that you are enough, and know that despite all the no's that you might hear, all you need is one yes. And that's really like what it comes down to. And choose, like, right now I choose myself first. I'm not looking for someone else to choose me.
What is that?
And that's
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? We talk about this often, and we've been on this journey since our 20s as friends, like figuring out who we are. What
yeah.
does you look like?
Choosing yourself means that you are so secure in yourself, no matter what anyone says to you, man or woman, no matter what anybody says to you, you know your own truth. So if they can't see that, your ability to just walk away is choosing yourself.
Mm.
Your ability to just to say, hey, these are my standards, this is what I want. Can you fulfill that? And they may say yes, but their actions are saying no. So still being aware enough to see that, hey, his actions are still saying no, so I have to walk away. Not wasting time. Not wasting time is choosing yourself.
I like that. Ain't nobody got
Yeah. Ain't nobody got time for that, you know? So, and the right man will see it
for sure.
and will put forth the effort that you deserve.
Will you talk a little bit about this? Is along the same lines of choosing you.
Hmm.
Playing ball as a black girl, you wear braids a lot
Yeah, you do.
because it's easy,
Yep.
and now there's so many young women who are natural that there's braids on top, of our natural hair, everything from crochets
Yeah.
to Senegalese twists to box braids to micro braids
Mhm.
to crochet with Senegalese. I mean, like,
Right.
abilities are endless with our hair. Can you talk a little bit about how to best take care of your hair when you're in braids? Because part of choosing you is taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. So with ball, I think you're absolutely correct. That's all I wore in college was braids, and we all know about the traction alopecia and losing your hair in the front, just because your hair is being pulled constantly. Um, my advice to you is obviously if you're going to do braids, make sure that the person is not braiding your edges too tight. That is a good option because you're working out all the time. You have two a days, you have your shoot
Mhm.
arounds and all that kind of stuff. Like you don't have time to be like throwing on a wig. You might get into it on the cord and girl snatch your wig off now. You don't want all of that. So you want something secure that that's on your head. You grab a good rebound and your wig falls off, and it's not a good look.
No, not at all.
So so you want something that's gonna be secure to the head. Okay, so crochet might be a good option if you want the crinkly or curly look. Braids are a good option. Just make sure it's not too tight. I like two strand twists. If I had natural hair in college, I would have just did my two strand twist and just kind of called it a night. I have plenty of videos that show you how to do two strand twists if you want to go check that out. But just keeping on top of your wash days. You're sweating all the time, so your hair might, I don't know if people recognize it, but they might start to smell a little bit. So you have to wash it. We don't wash our hair every day. Excuse
How do you watch it, right? Will you tell us? Because I never figured this out, right? So I would try to do it like with my normal hair, and it was hard because the water would be so
Yeah,
heavy. Then my neck would hurt because the braids were 10 pounds.
right.
Like, how do you braids?
So you would just take some shampoo, place it on the scalp, and just kind of shampoo the scalp and let the water just take the shampoo down the hair. It is going to feel heavy. Once you're done washing your braids, you will then take your hair and wring it out,
Oh,
like literally wring it out like you would do for a towel before stepping out of the shower. You take a towel and you will place it over your head, and then you would take a towel and place it over the ends of the hair because it's going to take quite some time to dry. I don't recommend putting a blow dryer to it because um, it makes taking out your braids that much harder. Our hair dreads very quickly, so
mm-hmm.
just let it air dry. When you let it air dry, for whatever reason, it doesn't knot or it doesn't tangle or anything like that. Just let it air dry.
Okay.
Yeah, and then don't keep your braids in too long. Like if you like, you're laughing because you do.
Like, how them joints in? I had braids
Okay.
for like 3 months.
Yeah, and I was like, Angie, what's going on? I would say if you like, if you are not gonna wash your hair, I would say keep it in for about a month. Take
Okay.
it out, wash your hair, and go like and you can go that way. If you are gonna wash your hair, I let my hair go for about a month, then I wash it with the braids in it. Depending on how small, if I feel like I'm losing hair at the ends, I will take it out. I'm sorry, on the side of my head, if I'm losing hair at the front of my hair, I will take it out faster. I really don't play around with losing hair at the side.
Yeah.
But if you feel like you're good to go, then you can keep it in for an additional 3 weeks after that, after you've washed it. So, but I wouldn't exceed anything longer than 2 months.
Thank you for that insight.
You're
There's
welcome.
a lot of young women out there, seriously, because we don't know. We just get them because it's easy. How do you keep them moisturized? Sometimes, like, we both have coached for a number of years, and our players,
Mhm.
the hair looks really dry, or our hair has been really dry.
Yeah.
Like, what types of things should we do to moisturize our hair?
Believe it or not, athletes, we're pretty lucky because we're constantly sweating on our hair. So when our sweat mixes with the sebum on the hair, it creates acid mantle, something that's called acid mantle, and it's actually good for the hair. It keeps your scalp pH balanced. So it's not, there's nothing wrong with leaving it like that for 2, 3 weeks or even a month, unless you notice a smell. So what I used to do after practice, my hair would be drenched like with sweat.
Hmm.
I have to take my braids down. You don't leave it in a ponytail because that's where you get the mildew smell and everything like that. So you let your hair air dry with the sweat and everything like that until you're ready to wash it. Some people have more sebum than others, so they have to wash their hair a little bit more frequently than someone else. I don't produce that much sebum on my scalp. Sebum is oil on the scalp. If anybody doesn't know,
Thank
if you,
you. I didn't know. Thank you.
oh, okay, okay. So sebum is the oil on your scalp, and when it mixes with the sweat, like I said, it creates that acid mantle, which is a good thing for the scalp and the hair. So don't be, in a hurry to just wash that out unless you have that mildew smell that some people get. And you get that smell because just like when you do your laundry and you put it in a plastic bag and you let it sit wet, it's going to have that smell.
Yeah.
It's basically creating mildew. So you have to let your hair down. You have to wear it out until your braids are completely dry. And then you can tie your head with a scarf and go to bed.
Oh, tied with a scarf. Great.
Oh, you didn't know that? Girl, you got the tie with a scarf.
Just learning
It's
so much.
okay.
You're so wise when it comes to when it comes to taking care of yourself. There's one more
Oh,
piece I want to talk about
sure.
before we get off, and it's makeup.
Oh, I love
You
makeup.
have the like largest collection of MAC. You should have a MAC endorsement, like for real. Because I was at your house, back in October when I came to visit, and you have this dresser, and I thought there was clothes in the dresser. He has a dresser that is full of makeup. So can you talk a little bit about why and how you got into playing around with makeup? Playing around isn't the right word, but like
You can say playing around.
so how you got into makeup, and then some advice for young athletes who are trying to, like step their game up and be a little more fancy.
Okay. So I felt like I really didn't know my feminine side because I never really, when you're an athlete, you consider yourself an athlete. So
Mm-hmm.
I never really looked at it like being girly. I didn't really wear makeup like that. I always had on sweatpants and a t-shirt. Like, that's who I am. But as I started getting older, I was like, I kind of wonder, like somebody did my makeup for some fashion show and I was like, wow, I look beautiful. Like, this is kind of cool. So I really wanted to like learn how to do it. And I think I had, just like a lot of other people, had a complex of my skin color, not really matching it correctly, going lighter and not realizing that's what you're doing. So when I found MAC, and I started getting into makeup and how to do makeup, I was still buying the wrong shades.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of just build your collection as you're going along. But as I started building, I started buying the right shades and realizing, wow, okay, this looks really good on me, and this doesn't. But I didn't get rid of it because I started doing other people's makeup just for fun. I don't charge or anything like that. But I started doing other. I started.
Sorry.
It's okay. I started doing other people's makeup, and I use the colors that will fit them. So, and then of course, like cousins and family members, I'll just give out and say, hey, this looks like it's your complexion. I'll give it to you.
Tons of makeup. Grateful, my friend.
You're welcome. But yeah. So I love whenever I find something that I'm passionate about,
Yeah.
I jump in like 100%, and this is just one of them. And the thing I love about makeup most is I'm not sore after I do it. Like I don't gotta lift no weights. I don't gotta do no push-ups. I don't have to run a mile or suicide, whatever. I don't have to do any of that. And I'm like, oh yes, all right, let me get this eyelash on, and I'm not sore afterwards. I'm like, this is a hobby. Now this is a hobby.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Funny. You're so good. You're so good at it. What advice do you have for young athletes who are just like you are, who are trying to, decide how to play around with makeup or, become more of whoever they want to be? Like if they just,
Yeah.
what's the first thing? What's like 3 tips that you have?
Tip number one, find YouTubers that you enjoy watching. Like I started to find dark skin YouTubers who I can like follow their technique, listen to what products they use, to start learning how to do my makeup. The second tip is you got to practice, just like anything in life. No one crawls out of the womb like, "Hey, girl, beat, got that glow." You don't walk out of the womb like that. So you have to practice. Like I made all the eyebrow mistakes that everybody talks about. I mean, thank God our cell phones didn't have cameras back then. Where everybody was snapping photos. But trust me, I made so many makeup mistakes. But in those mistakes, you learn how to do it right. So I think in this beauty community where everybody's like ready to makeup shame, and put people down, it's like nobody just steps onto any scene perfect. So that's tip number two. Tip number three would then be, finding your correct shade. That's the hardest part about makeup is finding your correct shade and what they call figuring out your features. So I needed to figure out where my cheekbones were so I can highlight and contour correctly and do all those things. Because I was watching videos, but I was highlighting and contouring based on their face shape.
Oh, wow. Good point.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. But just practice and keep practicing.
Or get a friend who's really good and then Have her practice on you. That's tip number 4.
That's tip number 4. That's a good tip. That's a good tip.
Oh, that's great. Oh, what that is awesome. So you've given some tips about life and understanding who you are and being true to yourself. You've given
Oh yeah.
about hair, which is essential. I would not have this hairstyle was it not for you. So thank you,
You're
sis.
welcome. You're welcome.
And you've given some tips about makeup. What is some of the best advice you've received? You've been giving advice to us and to our listeners. What's some advice you've received that sticks with you?
Oh, there's been so many over the years. As I was doing this self-discovery, I'm getting a little misty-eyed because it's been a journey. It's been a journey. Sorry.
It's okay.
um, Let me just get myself together. I hate crying. Sorry.
It's okay.
Um,
I apologize for crying. Like it's what we're doing, right?
yeah.
Have emotions. It's cool.
As you're getting to know yourself, accepting your flaws
Yeah.
and understanding that there's nothing wrong with you.
Yep.
You're perfect the way you are. And you got to really believe that. It took me a long time to believe that. But once I started to see myself authentically, things really started to open up. Other people started to see me. And it's been life changing, you know. So develop, you know, developing, or I want to say fostering great friendships. I don't have very many friends, but the 7 people that are in my life, I'm giving everything away, but the 7 people that are in my life are dear to me, and I would do anything for, go above and beyond for. And I realize that people don't have that in life, and they don't know what that is. So they spend the rest of their life trying to please everyone that's around them, as opposed to figuring out who they are, centering themselves, figuring out who they are, having great people in their lives to give them good advice and helping them become a better person in life. So, you know, I say all that to say it starts with you. It starts with you. You've got to really be true to yourself and authentic with yourself, because if you're not doing that, anything else that you do in life is going to fall by the wayside. The reason why I'm successful in my life is because I'm authentic to who I am. I have integrity, meaning when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. If I give anybody my word, like, my word has power, and that's been the greatest gift that anybody could have given to me. You know, I had to learn that at an early age, but once I got that, I stuck with it, and it's really carried me through. So, I think that's around that time for the month, girls. Almost that time.
Oh, that's real. That's real. Hormones are real, but no.
Yes, it is.
But I think because I know your story, that's a perfect way to close out our podcast today. I mean, you are one of the most disciplined, giving people that I know, and I'm so blessed and thankful to have you as a friend, as an athlete, as a sister baller. So thank you so much for being a part of Athletes as Educators podcast. You dropped so much wisdom, and obviously I want to have you back at some point to talk more in depth.
Thank you.
All that you know. But if people, if something that you said resonated with our listeners, how can people find you? Like if they want to connect and talk about hair, makeup, life, boys, how can
Definitely check me out on YouTube. It's Living with Osa. You can type it all together. You can find me on Instagram with that as well. You know, I'm just all about real life issues, being authentic, and just living your best life, whatever that looks like for you. So that's it.
perfect. Thank you so much. Oh,
Thank you. You're welcome.
and you can find Living with Osa. You can YouTube. I recommend if you are a Black woman who trying to figure out what to do with your natural hair, check out her YouTube videos, especially if you're 4C and have those kinky curls like us. Definitely check it out. And if you're looking for kind of some direction, you're in your 30s trying to figure out like what is this dating thing kind of like, definitely view her YouTube videos as well.
Thank you.
Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and thank you. Oh gosh, we're gonna edit that part out.
Okay.
I'm gonna start over with my closing.
Okay.
Okay, ready? I'm not ready. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
This has been a great show. It's been amazing interviewing one of my best friends, Osato, who is a former elite athlete who is now a mogul in her own right.
Thank you, sis.
Thank you so much, sis, for being on the show, and look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Okay.